Today we are getting back to our animal mashups. Hopefully you've already gotten a nice start on creating your own animal creation. Today I want to show you how you can adjust some of the color balances as well as using a burn tool to make things a little bit darker and a dodge tool to make things a little bit lighter. So here I am. I had my work already saved. Remember, you can open it up from your desktop. You are hopefully saving things as a PSD format, and that way when you open it up in Photoshop again, you've got all your layers and all of your adjustments to continue working. So on this owl cat that I'm working on now, the cat is much lighter than it needs to be. So I do want to show you how you can adjust just that area. So I'm on the layer that is the cat, and when I'm on that layer, I want to create an adjustment, but I don't want to adjust everything on the page, okay? So if I go up here to adjustments right now and say I go to color brightness, if I change my brightness, I'm changing the whole picture. Okay, so I don't want to do that, and you can see it actually created a new layer with that color brightness, and I'm just going to delete that because I don't want to change my whole picture. What I want to change is just the cat. The easiest way to do that is to hold your cursor on the piece that you want, so just the part of the cat, and hold Control with my other hand. So I'm holding Control, click on it, you'll see the marching ants, and now I am just going to make my adjustment to that area that I brought in. So now when I go to my adjustments, I can change the color and brightness, and I'm just affecting that area that is the cat. So these adjustments are fairly small. I'm just going to bring it down just a little bit to make it similar to the owl. Same with the contrast, just bring it down a little bit so it looks similar. That helped a lot actually right there. Something else that you might want to do is look at, and there are lots of different adjustments you can make here, but also looking at your color and balance. These again are very subtle adjustments, but I need to get a little bit more of the yellowy reds out of the cat, and I can do that by just bumping this down into the blues a little bit more. Maybe just a touch more green and just a little bit more cyan. You notice it's not a very big adjustment that I'm making in these, but it does add a little bit and make it look a little bit more realistic. This actually looks pretty good, and I don't feel like I really need to add like any dark areas or lighter areas, but one thing that I do want to do here is I'm going to take just a little bit of color from the cat, and I'm going to add it in like right in here, kind of like where the wings or like the arms would be. To do that, I'm going to use the brush tool, but I'm going to first use the eyedropper. And if I use the eyedropper tool now, if I'm on the background layer, I can actually get that same hue of the cat. And now I can go into my paintbrush, and I'm going to reduce the size of my brush just a little bit. I'm just going to touch just to get a little bit of that color variation in here. I'll do the same thing on the other side. It just kind of adds some of the color of the cat into the owl, and I think makes it look a little bit more realistic. Something else that you might want to do, I'm going to switch over to another one I was working on here. I've got this white and gray cat with an owl, and you can see this is not quite exactly right, and this is where I want to try to kind of use this dodge and burn tool. It looks like the little hand making a fist there. If you do a right click, you can choose the dodge or burn tool. If you use the burn tool, it's going to make it darker, and I do want to use the burn tool just a little bit to kind of darken underneath his chin. And it's just a little subtle touch to add in a little bit of that. Kind of adds shadow. Now I can also use the right click, switch over to the dodge tool, and this kind of works the opposite. It will lighten up an area. So I can just touch and kind of blend by lightening. I need just a little bit more light on the face. Maybe that was too much. Undo to bring it back. And I can also change where I'm changing things. So I can look at the shadows and really change the shadows, or I can look at the midtones or highlights, and you can see how that really changes the whites if I'm looking at the if I'm looking at the highlights, and it really changes the darks if I am looking at the shadows. But again, the dodge tool and the burn tool are other tools that will very much help you make your animal mashups look more realistic. Don't forget to think about using some of those adjustments, and maybe you even want to use the brush tool and add a little color like I did here as well. Again, continue with these works. Make sure when you are finished working, you are saving it as a PSD file so you can come back to it. If you're totally done and ready to put it in your Padlet, that's when you can go to File, go down to Export, Export As. And when you get to the Export As, this is where you get to choose whether or not you want to have a file format of PNG, or you can choose JPEG is what we'll use. And you can click down there to export, and you can save that to your Padlet or share it with your friends. Have a great day, everyone.